Good morning. Humor. Welcome to the Sunday Celebration of Spirit here at Golden Gate Center for Spiritual Living. Take this opportunity to turn off your cell phone, anything that connects you with the outside world electronically, and then greet your neighbor.
Good morning, neighbor. Good morning, neighbor.
We here at the Golden Gate Center for Spiritual Living honor you wherever you are on your spiritual path. We recognize that there is indeed infinite paths to, but only one God. We're here this morning to celebrate that God Spirit. Posey and Ross will lead us in the chant, followed by a reading by Reverend Sarah Hargrave.
And since we do not have the PowerPoint, we're doing I give myself permission. The words are very easy. I give myself permission to be all I can be. I give myself permission to live passionate and free.
I give myself permission to be all I can be. I give myself permission to live passionate and free. I give myself permission to be all I can be. I give myself permission to live passionate and free. I give myself permission to be all I can be. I give myself permission to live passionate and free. I give myself permission to be all I can be. I give myself permission to live passionate and free. I give myself permission to be all I can be. I give myself permission to live passionate and free. I give myself permission to be all I can be. I give myself permission to live passionate and free. I give myself passionate and free. Passionate and free. Passionate and free.
Good morning.
Good morning. I'm Reverend Sarah Hargrave, staff minister at this wonderful spiritual community. I understand there may be a little of a parking challenge out there this morning because of some kind of tournament, so we just know everybody is finding their right place here with us at the right time. And we're so glad that you're here, and we welcome you and are so grateful for your presence. Instead of doing a opening prayer, I'd like to read from my favorite magazine, which is Creative Thought Magazine. And if you haven't read it, it has wonderful daily treatments and inspirational words. So I'm going to read one, and each day they're written by someone different. So this one was written by Mark Cunningham, who is a practitioner in Decatur, Georgia. And there's a quote from Raymond Charles Barker from the book The Science of Successful Living. And the quote is, "If you believe in the mind of God as a ceaseless source of creative ideas, then you cannot indulge in the pessimistic attitude of the world." And this is called I Live an Abundant Universe. I recognize God is the one source for all creation. I realize my unity with this great source, knowing I am always supported with an unlimited supply of creative ideas and opportunities. I live in an abundant universe that provides generously for me and all of its participants. Today, I continuously align my life with the perfect action of the divine. Its expansive and boundless nature and creative intelligence expresses through me in all my affairs and to all I come in contact with. I'm moving forward into newer and greater experiences. I am becoming more of who I truly am. Any uneasiness that might cloud the thoughts of my true nature simply evaporate. I remake my world into exactly what I choose and desire. I choose loving relationships, a healthy physical and mental being, and I earn a bountiful living, all from this continuous flow of its unlimited good of the universe. Centered in this truth, I give thanks for the ceaseless source in my world. I acknowledge the unlimited good and abundance flowing into my life every day. I release my word to law, knowing the power that carries it. I sense the peace and harmony manifesting in my life now, and all is good. And so it is. So now we have special music from our special musicians, Ross and Posey, and also Robin.
Having a little... good morning again. This is a song that I wrote for actually a class. It's called God's Enterprise. Coulda, woulda, shoulda, kept me stuck in victimhood. Trying always to control never worked so good. I was hanging out in want and need, and now I'm choosing to be free. I'm letting go and letting God today. Please join in. I am God's enterprise. God cannot fail. I am God's enterprise. I know God cannot fail. My life is God's life, my hands are God's hands. My life works really well when I simply know it can. I choose to let love lead the way, to know I'm more than just okay, to know I'm loved and guided every way. I am God's enterprise, God cannot fail. I am God's enterprise, I know God cannot fail. God is my source and guide, God is always on my side, God's the love in which I abide. God is my currency, God is my sufficiency, God is all, so God is me. I am God's enterprise, God cannot fail. I am God's enterprise, I know God cannot fail. I am God's enterprise, God cannot fail. I am God's enterprise, I know God cannot fail. I am God's enterprise, God cannot fail. I am God's enterprise, I know God cannot fail. One more time. I am God's enterprise, God cannot fail. I am God's enterprise, I know God cannot fail.
We are blessed by having so much talent in this community. Thank you. So we always start with gratitude. And Last week, did we have a fabulous picnic or what? How many of you were here for that? That was great. So I want to, even though Jay, I don't see Jay and Mary today, I want to give thanks to Jay Gustafson and Mary Cosgrove and Tom Merrill, who worked so very hard, and for all those who stepped in to cook and to do other things to set up and clean up. That's you. And so if you'll stand up, if you were involved in any way in making that happen last week, and let us say thanks. Looks like we have adult children today, and so the child within waves to the child above on the stage and know that they're off to whatever adventure they're having. Quick Start. Do you know about Quick Start? It's a wonderful introduction to this philosophy, and today Gail Durkin, you want to just stand up, is teaching that at the Learning Center from 12:30 to 3:30, and if you haven't done it, do it. It's great. And if you have done it, do it again, because it's a good refresher. Fall classes are coming up, and foundations. Reverend Karyl is going to teach both an evening class and a daytime class, so no excuses for not working into your schedule. There's also spiritual practices, which Posey is going to say something about.
Yes. So how many here have taken the foundations class or Beyond Limits? So all of you are eligible to take the spiritual practices class. And if you've ever heard Reverend Lloyd Tupper talk here, he always talks about going to the well daily to fill ourselves up with the waters of the Excelsior. And this class is about that. It's taking time out every day to fill ourselves up with the awareness of spirit. We begin to live our lives from the inside out rather than the outside in. And for any of you who have long-time meditation practices, this is the class for you. And if any of you haven't been able to quite make that commitment to daily spiritual practice, this is the class for you. We practice many different spiritual practices throughout the class. Every week we do something new. And this is the class to really deepen whatever you learned in foundations, to really go deep into what is spiritual mind treatment, how does it work, how do I do it, how do I use principle to begin to live the life of my dreams. So if any of that sounds attractive, I'll be briefly at the table after church. The class will start on October 1st and go through December 10th. It will be Tuesday nights, 6:30 to 9:30. And please join me. It's one of my favorite classes to teach because we go so deep and it's so rich. So please listen to that inner guide to see if this class is for you.
Thanks. And Janet Ryan is going to be teaching a class called Speak Your Word. I know it was very popular last time. And all these classes start in September, so sign up and show up. Spiritual singles, we have a group if you're single and want to meet like-minded folks for conversation and fun and fellowship and snacks, come and I think it's once a month. It's in your bulletin. There's so check. Ellie Schamber is not here this morning, so she usually is spearheading it. Also put September 8th on your calendar. I'm doing the second installment of this round of Helping Each Other Succeed, and it's figuring out how we in this community as individuals can help, as a community, can help each other as individuals to succeed in whatever we're doing, whether you're self-employed or an independent professional or an employee or a hobbyist or whatever it is you're wanting to succeed at. And that's going to be after service on the 8th from 11:30 to 12:45. So there's more in the bulletin. Check that. And if you're here for the first time or back after a long time or here all the time, we're so grateful to have you with us. The theme of this year is the New World and Ancient Path, and we have this wonderful Celtic diagram. And so the theme for this month, for August, is fullness, and the word for today is freedom. So we're adding the words as we go along. And the wonderful altar by Kathy Fowler. I always look forward to seeing what Kathy has to do. And she says the Thai angels represent healing and judgment. All of us, whether we're male or female, have both of these energies within us. The angels are each placed by a mirror for self-reflection. The white roses symbolize purity as well as beauty. The blue altar cloth and candles represent serenity. The crystal candles show us clarity through Spirit's light. And the traditional angel in the middle provides the guidance that is always available to each of us. So, now for the main attraction. Reverend M. Louise Mann has been a staff minister here at this spiritual community ever since her graduation from ministerial school in 2008. She recently passed her ordination panels to become a lifelong minister in this movement. And that's a big deal. She's been involved in Golden Gate Center since becoming a member in 1984. She was a practitioner since 1992. She's served on the board. She's on various councils. She's taught classes. And she was the bookstore manager for several years. Prior to discovering the science of mind, she worked as a psychotherapist in a nonprofit counseling service and in a private practice. Currently, her time is committed to her unfolding ministry. So we are delighted and privileged to have Reverend M. Louise Mann speaking for us today.
Good morning, everyone. And it's wonderful to be here speaking for the first time in my own beloved community. Well, I spent a lot of time thinking about what lesson I wanted to give to you today, and made a lot of false starts. They ask you to give a title quite well in advance, and as all of you know, day by day our lives change, and different things become a priority. So when I brought it to prayer, I decided that what I needed to do was talk about my life is my lesson. I want to start with what I know, and so that's really what I want to share with you today. I want to talk about the journey to where I am now in my ministry, and what nurtured, comforted, taught, and inspired me during these last months as I moved up to my ordination panel. In April of this year, after much soul-searching, I went to Denver for my ordination panels, where a group of ordained ministers ask you if you're ready to become a licensed religious science minister for life. A very big step for me, who could never imagine myself in this role through all my years as a licensed practitioner. So this is a talk about my personal freedom, my challenges, and what brought me to recognize that this was my calling, to be a religious science minister for life. Right after my graduation from ministerial school in 2008, I was swept into caring for beloved friends who became ill. First, a dear friend of 20 years became ill, and just as her brother and sister were finally able to move her to the East Coast to be near them, my very best friend of over 50 years got some very disturbing news. I was involved in her care more and more until finally I left my part-time job to be more available to her. Then yet another dear friend was nearing his transition, and I was spiritually supporting his beloved. Another dear friend was getting ready to move into a hospice care facility, and after several months, she made her transition. Then there were memorials and care for those left behind, and I'm sure you're all familiar with this process. Then there were the sweet friends in our community who began their journey and eventually made their transition, where we all joined together to support them in our own special ways. Oh, you can't hear me? Oh. Try this. Can you hear me? Yes. Oh, yes. Well, I'm in the middle of telling you about, I hope that everyone was able to hear me. Good. Good. Oh, this is better. Very good. Very good. So later still, the son of a dear friend needed me to support her son's journey with treatment for an illness because she was in Hawaii and his treatment was here. So this has been my path. And I really had nothing to do with creating this path. This was God's call for me. So I could see that I was not on the traditional path of taking a pulpit and running a community. And so I had some doubts about, was this okay for a minister in religious science to not be doing those expected things? And would my path be accepted? In January of 2012, I had my first ordination panel, and it was a disaster. It was over the telephone, and I really had no clarity. I felt gripped by the divine hand of God and really didn't know what to say about it. I had been so into this work, I really had nothing to say. There were no words. And I was grieving for my dear friends who were no longer in my daily life. So they said, wait a year. And that sounded right to me. So how did I manage to get there from here? How did I get clarity? And how did I do my grieving? I asked myself all those questions that we ask ourselves in times of uncertainty and challenge. You know, what am I doing? Why am I here? What do I want? At this point, I needed clarity and direction. Now, often what happens to me is that a certain book will call to me. Either it will be in my bookcase or I'll come across it. And I dedicate myself to a daily practice in deep study. So I began a daily study of Reverend Dr. Michael Beckwith's book, Spiritual Liberation. That was my work for several months. I recorded one of his meditations on tape and played it over and over. Hearing myself speak the words was very powerful for me. As for the grieving, oddly enough, the friends and families of my loved ones helped me grieve by being witness to the words of comfort that I gave them. God was guiding me to say the perfect things, and they were for me as well. It's a wonderful thing that happens as we all stand together in loving support of each other. Wherever the words come from, they are from God, and they are a blessing to the giver and to the receiver. However, many fears still rose as to my worthiness as a minister. Was this okay in our organization that I didn't do the typical minister-like things? Maybe a better question, was it okay with me? Whatever plans I thought that I might make when I graduated from ministerial school were clearly overridden as divine intelligence carried out its plan in my regard. So I was called to study words of empowerment and to a deeper practice. This is my method of working through to more understanding. This time as to whether I wanted to move forward to the path of ordination. I was already a spiritual practitioner. What would it be about for me, and why was it so important to me? I have had and continue to have lots of wonderful spiritual support, and that is so important in facing these challenges. I have a practitioner that I speak with at least once a month, and during ministerial school, I was talking to her much more than that. My prayer partners are loving and steadfast, and my community supports me, and I'm so grateful for that. My ministerial colleagues support me, and they were all there to know the truth for me. that something within me knew the answers to all the questions that I had. Early in December of last year, I received a call from my youngest sister that my oldest sister Grace had passed. Unexpectedly, we had really no warning of this. And because of the work that I had done, I felt prepared to be the anchor for my family, and I felt divinely guided through all the steps of arranging everything. I was being new as the eldest myself, and with my sister and brother-in-law assisting, I arranged the service and performed my very first memorial service for my own beloved sister. I felt centered in myself there in a new and more powerful way after this reunion with my family and the experience of serving them. So in January of this year, 2013, there came an announcement that all ministerial ordination panels would now be held in various places across the country, and an appointment was needed so that we could schedule it. So it was up for me again. So I began to prepare the paperwork needed and schedule myself for April in Denver. Was I sure? No, but I found myself moving forward and keeping to my spiritual practice. This time I was called to the 12 Lessons of Emma Curtis Hopkins, which has been reorganized and updated in a recent book by Dr. Bruce Miller called Unveiling Your Hidden Power. As those who study in our roots classes know, Emma was an early teacher of our founder, Ernest Holmes. So Emma says, in the end of her first lesson, so through this first gate, my intellect, I let all that I know and all that I have been taught go free. I know nothing. The wisdom of the schools is foolishness with God. Back in the early days of my youth, as I was seeking the myriad paths offered at the time, I remember that John Lilly, the scientist who studied dolphins and started us all learning to meditate in isolation tanks, said something that really stuck, and I'm paraphrasing here. When I try something new, I suspend my disbelief temporarily so that I can experience new learning without prejudice. In Zen, they call that beginner's mind. So I was looking for a beginner's mind to begin a study fresh, to ask again the questions in an openness that beyond what I experienced before. So then there was Denver, and I had never been to Denver, and the offices in Denver where the panels were going to be held are in Golden, which are quite a ways from Denver, and I'm not a person that is used to traveling and renting a car and all these things and going out. And I looked on MapQuest, and it looked like it was like out in the boondocks. I live in the city. And so it was a little frightening to me to think of, actually following through and going. I would have to rent a car and make myself a hotel reservation. So I made myself a hotel reservation in an inexpensive place, and I had no idea where it was. And I looked at it on MapQuest, thinking that it was nearer Golden, and where it was actually was farther away than the airport. But luckily, they had said I could cancel at any time, so I tried to get more information. And then on the news it said, Denver is having snow, and they're going to be having a snow day the day I was flying. Well, I'm from New England, And snow days for us were when we were kids in school, where we were just so happy when they announced that schools were closed, most businesses were closed, too dangerous to go on the road. Well, so I was going to be renting a car in Denver, which I knew nothing about, going to Golden, and it was a snow day. So this was quite challenging. I thought, okay, I'm having these challenges, and I went out and bought a GPS. That if I'm going to be there wandering around, I can do this. I can be grown up enough to do this. So I was continuing to do my work through these challenges to see if the answer was really yes, that I should go. This was my path, that I should make this move. So I continued to make my plans. Emma says, "Intention and surrender even now free me. There is nothing inhibiting this divine flow. It's happening now. I feel it in my bones and give thanks for it. These moments of quietude reveal to me the grand design of the universe and my place in it." So that's what I was asking, my place in the universe. By the time April arrived, because of this work and my prayer work and my spiritual team, I was able to be clear that this was the path for me. So I set out with confidence that I was doing my perfect step. So I want to talk a little bit about my prescription for these challenges and moving to a new level in life or dealing with a new, perhaps overwhelming circumstance. What works for me is to have the intention to refresh my spiritual practice. To choose some book or some class or something that you are called to and really be willing to study in a new way, making it part of your daily practice. To go to learning mode, open your mind in a new way, and be willing to be the student again. And remember that this is metaphysical learning. It's not about accumulating knowledge like other studies. To be able to talk authoritatively about science of mind, or even to teach it. It is a spiritual practice, a doing. And although it helps you to learn practices to assist you to gain and experience knowledge about your own higher self, with teachers assisting you, if you don't do the practice, you will not reap the benefits. All our teachers are practitioners, and so they know about this work, and they do this work. Reverend Michael Beckwith says, "Rudimentary spirituality is theory. Advanced spirituality is practice. What you practice, you ultimately embody, paving the way for breakthroughs, insights, fresh realizations, and evolution of consciousness. In truth, that which is inconceivable is caught and understood by those who are making their spiritual practice a way of life." As Ernest Holmes, our founder, reminds us, we do this to demonstrate, to see, inform our good, not just to think and read about it. For me, with each study, I'm courting Spirit to guide me, to inform me from within, so that I can move forward with confidence and clarity with each new challenge, or new venture that arises. For me, the work is to nurture and reinforce my belief and confidence in my connection to my own inner wisdom, and to strengthen my belief in my higher self and who I am as an expression of God, who you are as an expression of God. This is what the goal is. So I choose practices that direct me from within. This is how I feel connected to God and my higher self. And I recommend that you choose what moves you to turn within. So to go back to my story, I was ready to go to Denver. And another thing happened. After I made my plane reservations, I was told that the days for paneling were different than I thought. And I was going in a day too early. Luckily, I was not leaving until after the first panel, which they had to schedule me for because my plane was right after it. So God had fit me in. And as soon as my commitment was clear to me, I was offered a place to stay with an old friend who was a former Golden Gate spiritual living practitioner. I was offered rides to and from the Denver airport. I had a wonderful time, and I felt nurtured, loved, and part of the excitement of an event where so many ministers gathered, and I saw the beautiful new office in the beautiful Denver mountains. All that had seemed hard was made easy once I was clear that I was ready to say yes. My Emma reading that morning before my panel said, "You need not worry about whether you should speak if you have taken the fresh morning for giving thanks and glad praises to the Spirit, speaking forth freely some lessons of this science. Your mind and your aura will be filled with all the blessed qualities of God throughout the day." And so as I entered my panels, I didn't worry because I had, and I did. Each day on the minister's listserv, a different minister will do a spiritual mind treatment for all of us. One of my favorite contributors, Reverend Karen Newhouse, so touched me with this part of one of her treatments, and I read it often. "I remain open to receive the fruits of my own natural growth and evolution. I let go trying to grow and change, and with a healthy curiosity, I wait upon the Lord, divine love, to have its way with me. I pray, believe, wait, and watch." So we never reach a point where we stop having the need to do the work, to do the inner work, no matter what point in our lives we are and what we're doing, who we are. So what's been happening lately is that I have been attending a 7-week class in Santa Rosa that is introducing new material to our Science of Mind 2 class called Self-Mastery. Luckily, this has a little something to do with the title I began with. And it's going to be, it's a condensed version so that our practitioners from the Golden Gate can experience the inner work before teaching it. One of the major books that has been added is The Four Agreements. And this is a wonderful little book on Toltec wisdom by Don Miguel Ruiz. He was interviewed in the Science of Mind magazine this month. This is a little book. And so I encourage any of you who have not taken foundations to do so now. So when this new self-mastery begins, you'll be able to take this experience to do this deep work in the full format for those starting out to deepen their understanding of Science of Mind principles and be able to take Posey's class next year. So I thank you all for your attention and for the way you lovingly received me. I am very grateful. And I'm going to close now by doing some inner work that includes some of the affirmations from the 4 agreements that reveal to us a way to more personal freedom. So as we just center in our seats, and just take a moment to become present to ourselves, to be in this now moment, and to realize that we are those beloved expressions of God, and that within us is all that we need to know. And so as I just read these statements, I am knowing that each person is free. There is that freedom within. And freedom comes when we know ourselves. And freedom comes when we recognize our divinity. And freedom comes that we can relax into God's arms. Just relax into that knowing that we have an infinite source providing every single thing that we need. It is there for us. As we look within and more recognize the strength of that infinite support, the strength of that divine intelligence, the strength of that ever-present love. And so these are some statements from the Toltec wisdom, changed a little bit for us. I am free as an expression of the one mind that is endlessly creative, to use that creativity for my good. I am free to choose my words with care and loving intention, both those I speak to myself and to others. I am free to define myself and am immune to others' ideas of me. Others can see the world through different eyes, and I'm free to choose my own way while letting them have their view. I am free to let others go free in my thoughts without speculation or assumption. I am free to choose to always do my best and accept that whatever that may be at the time with love and gratitude. I am free to see others as the God expression they truly are, regardless of appearance. And so it is. Thank you all very much.
Thank you, Louise. Once upon a time, I needed someone to take me by the hand when there were so many things I didn't understand. I needed close attention as I grew more aware. Once upon a time, someone was there. Someone was there to show me I could stand out in a crowd, who answered every question I could never ask out loud. Someone was there to help me determine what was true. Someone was there. That someone was you. Once upon a time, I needed someone to tell me I'm okay, who whenever I got off the track would point me to the way. I needed someone special, yes, I needed someone rare. Once upon a time, someone was there. Someone was there to give me the strength to try my wings. Someone who filled my daydreams with the most fantastic things. Someone was there, an inspiration I could look up to. Someone was there, that someone was you. You taught me not to settle when I could excel. I didn't even know myself, but you seemed to know me well. You knew there was no limit to all that I can be. And even when I had my doubts, you still believed in me. Someone was there to show me just how great it all can be. Someone who helped me understand the power inside of me. Someone was there in the darkness to help my light shine through. Someone was there, that someone was you. Someone was there, that someone was you.
Would the ushers come forward, please? This is the time for conscious contribution, and this program today, the wonderful musicians, this recreation center, the staff that set up the room today, and all the activities are made possible solely by your contributions. So we're grateful for that. We're grateful for the financial contributions you make. We're also grateful for your presence, because that's also a contribution. Your participation really enriches us. So take a moment to, as they come by, to send blessings to any contribution that you're making to the community, and then turn to one of your neighbors to thank them for the contribution they're making.
God is my source. God is my power. God gives me everything I need. Feel free to move. For all my blessings, God gives me everything every little thing I need.
God is my source.
God is my soul.
God is my power.
God is my power.
God gives me
everything I need.
So I give thanks.
I give thanks
For all my blessings.
all my blessings.
God gives me
Everything every little thing
God is my source.
every little thing,
God is my power.
every little thing,
God gives me
every little thing,
everything
every little thing I need.
So I give thanks.
I give thanks
For all my blessings.
for all my blessings.
God gives me
Everything every little thing I need.
God is my source.
Every little thing I need.
God is my power.
Every little thing I need.
God gives me everything.
Every little thing.
So I give thanks for all my blessings. God gives me
We know that the gift we give is not a debt we owe, but a seed we sow. So we give thanks for the way many of us have all been blessed by each other's generosity and the generosity of others. So thank you. So if you'll join me in a closing treatment, but the practitioners could come forward. These are professionals who have trained and done much inner work to prepare to be able to serve you, and they generously give of their time to do that. And would the other practitioners surround the room? And I would say, I was thinking this week about this recreation center, that 6 days of the week it is a recreation center, but on the 7th day it is a recreation center. Like that? I did too. So we're the Golden Gate Center for Recreation. So join me now. And I speak my word in the first person for myself and for each of you. So I am just knowing there's only one power and presence in the universe, and that power and presence is good. That's a power for good I can use at each moment. And as I am immersed and surrounded in it each day, each breath. So I know that I open my heart to the love of the infinite intelligence that is guiding me, surrounding me, and supporting me. And I open my mind to the guidance that is mine each moment. So I take each step knowing that the next is prepared for me and that I am guided as to what to do or not to do. And I open my body to the health and healing that is always vibrantly flowing through and available. So I give thanks for all of this, release it as done, and simply wait for wonderful reports and delightful surprises. And so it is. Amen. So I would ask you to stand and join me in the affirmation. And since we don't have PowerPoint today, I'll read a line and then you can read the line, repeat the line. I am free to choose my words.
I am free to choose my words
about myself or to others with care and loving intention. I am free from others' judgment. Because my guidance comes from within. I always do my best. As an expression of God. Knowing each result is perfect.